Okay.
All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending this evening's trustee meeting on May 9th at 7:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with pledge the flag and short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we could gather in this place. And Lord, we just ask that the decisions that we make here today benefit the township here that we reside. Lord, be with all those folks that are getting out of their house in this nice sunshine, and be with all of our employees as they work to make our township a better and safer place. It's in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Do we have any additions, subtractions of the meeting minutes?
For the agenda.
Agenda, I apologize.
I may have something in here I have to adjust.
Okay.
I'm just looking at, just on one of the ones that are already on there.
All right.
I have no changes.
Okay. We're gonna keep talking ambulance at fire, but I'll add something there. Okay, and another thing to note, Mr. Pirro, Trustee Pirro will be absent this evening. All right. Okay, approval of meeting minutes for 4:25.
Trustee Griffith, motions to approve the minutes as presented.
Trustee Varian, second. All those in favor? You've got a roll call this whole evening. Would you like?
These first two, you can just do them.
Okay.
Just, anything you would do, any resolutions moving forward after
Roll
these
call.
two.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. There we go. Approval of treasurer's report.
Trustee Griffith, motions to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Trustee Varian, second. All those in favor? Aye. Wonderful. All right, moving along to public speaks. I believe we have Mark Hollinger. Is that right? Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming.
I didn't bring a lot with me tonight.
Grab.
The electric
Thank you.
aggregation came up here
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
at the end of May. I'll go back to the mic. And the markets are not cooperating. The markets over the course of last year really after the episode in Texas, and that's really what the gas. You see pretty much a straight line. And it's made it really hard to pick a point in time and really knock down electric pricing. As we got deep into 2021, we saw electric really start to take off and exceed AEP's cost to compare. So it was really hard, knowing that, and I'm in AEP down in Columbus as well. They've been in the 4.8s as high as 5.4 at various points. So electric was exceeding that realm. Now AEP's held both auctions. They held an auction back in November. They just held an auction in March for their load. And we can see now that, and that's kind of what we're waiting for, see where the cost compare was, going forward. That'll kick in here in June. And the results, and it's not entirely accurate yet, but we won't see it until next month's bill or so. But they're headed upwards. The minimum that the suppliers think they're going to be at is 6.19. The middle ground is 7.07. And it's felt like the max is somewhere around 7.35. Okay. So we know the utility's headed up. I think one of the drawbacks that the utility has right now is that a lot of aggregation programs towards the end of the year and into this year have gone back. So the question is, when they held their auctions in November and in April, or I'm sorry, back in March actually, did they secure enough? Because if they only secured like last year's load, not thinking about large aggregation programs funneling back in and feeding back into their system, they have a shortage. So if that shortage impacts, cost compare is going up because they're going to be buying on the spot market, and the spot market's elevated. So there's a lot of moving parts right now. The gas market is driving everything. Gas market exceeded $8 for the first time since 2008. On Thursday, it was as high as $8.80. It exceeded $8 early April, receded, and jumped back. $8.80 last week. Today it's down to $7. It ended at $7.11. It was about 70-cent drop today, so a 10% drop. I got pricing, and I wasn't able to print it in time. I got pricing on the electric. Call it earlier today. It was 12 cents for a 12-month agreement. So utilities is 7, suppliers are at 12. So that's where our dilemma is. But as the market pulled back today, it was actually 11.5 cents. So 0.7 of a penny, about $84 the average household a year in a day. That's how violent the swings are.
Right, that's huge.
And so that's what's making it really tough. All the prognosticators in the industry are saying this is just going to be a rough year going forward. As you look out about a year from now, you can see the futures prices are way down. So the question is, at what point do you lock in for next year? See if you catch a break for this year at some point, and maybe end up doing a 6-month agreement. Let's call it November. Pricing drops enough. If we have mild enough weather and there's a glut of energy, then it'll be dumped. If we get that lucky, we can do 6 months and then roll into the next agreement. The other thing I'm concerned about though is, the futures market seems to be holding somewhere around 6.8 cents. It seems like a pretty decent number. I mean, obviously not 5. You were right around 5 on your last agreement, but based on where the market is. The problem is we get greedy. We want, I want to bring you the lowest rate I can get you, and you're trying the same thing for your residents. Get it as low as you can get. So you're trying to play limbo, and it's hard to find that point in time on the timeline where you can get it. So then the question becomes for the futures, if everything stays kind of level as everybody expects, next year will be a better year, and maybe it makes sense to lock into longer term. I just worry that at 6.8 cents, if we locked in on something like that now, the market plummets. And granted, residents are always able to opt out for free. There's no cost, no termination fees, but I still don't want to get folks, folks don't necessarily pay attention to it and forget. And, when they could shop it, I want to see them, out migrating if they need to. So that becomes a trick. So I think going forward, what I recommend to trustees is create kind of a trigger point, a number, as we see what the cost compare is from the utility. If it is, 7.35 cents or 7 cents, if the trustees want to establish like a trigger point at like 6.8, 6.7, wherever that number may be, that way, because obviously with these violent swings, you're meeting every other week. And if we hit that point, let's say next Monday, if you don't do it, then you got to wait a week. And this happened. It happened to me about 6 months ago where I had somebody at a trigger point. By the time they got to the next meeting, it was too late. So I would recommend that. And if we get to that point, pick up the phone and be able to say, we're there. If you want to sign it, we can get it done and go from there. So,
Okay.
So some of the concerns that people have called me about is that the older people, they don't know how to shop for a price for electricity. And they just want it taken care of. They just want something steady. They want to know that they're in something.
right.
Then you have some that are watching the price and they'll jump in and out.
Right.
But sitting not having anything,
Safer with, it's actually been safer with utility for a few months. That's changing now because they've held their auction. When they held their auction last year, the timing was very lucky, if you want to call it that, for the utility. It was just as Texas happened, because it was early March, that cold snap that impacted Texas just started the gas market. So it just made sense, and we've seen it in Ohio and Illinois. There were 35 aggregation programs in Illinois, 17 here in Ohio before the end of the year had gone back to the utility. So our competitors are doing it. I talked to the suppliers. I was talking to suppliers back in October, and I said, I think these are headed back to utility, aren't they? And all the suppliers like, yeah, it just made sense for everybody. Because the other impact is even if we lucked out and gotten 7.5 cents a few months back, people wouldn't see it on their bill soon enough. They'd still see AEP at 4.8, 5.4, and be like, oh, I'm getting ripped off, and they bail, not realizing that if they just stuck with it a month or two, it's going to revert back in their favor. So you have that impact too. But if we can get them in, I'd love to get them in, but I want to make sure, obviously, it's right, for the community,
right?
Because then, it alleviates your headaches.
Yeah, sure.
And the bigger
well,
picture.
it's not so much that our population is so much old, they're aging.
Demographically,
Yeah.
right.
The calls I've been fielding for the township hasn't been a lot of calls. There's about 30 of them I'm up to now that want to know what to do. They're getting companies calling them saying, hey, I can give you 0.425 right now.
Right.
Month to month, best deal out there. And they're looking at their bill and we're at
90
the point.
days later.
Yeah, well, these are the things I said, will you hang in there, give us a month or two so we can get you locked in. But I said, those prices are going to jump, skyrocket when it moves. I've also been telling residents, and I think I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, that they do nothing. They don't sign up for nothing. They're in that limbo where they're going to go on
They're gonna
our,
revert back to utility.
Right.
yeah, they're going to go
That's
back to
right.
the utility. But let's say the trustees decide next month or the following month to lock something in on short term or whatever is decided.
Right.
They'll automatically go on that electric aggregation as long as they haven't physically done anything.
Yeah, as long as they haven't done anything,
Yeah.
we will get refresh data, and we get the data. It's nice because the utility indicates who has suppliers. They don't name the supplier. They have a code, and we can see who has an agreement in place, and we can't interfere with those. So those folks that have something in place already,
So if they took the bait, then they can't go
Yeah.
any aggregate.
and that's exactly it. If
Yeah.
they see, and I wish PUCO would eliminate that, because there are at least 3 suppliers. I can name them. And every time I have somebody call me, I go, I know exactly who you have. And, they have a teaser rate for 90 days. And then you stop looking at your bill, and then you look at your bill down the road, and then you're like, oh my gosh. I have a customer over in Dayton Power and Light. He sent me his bill the other day, and they had 1 meter, it was actually a church, they had 1 meter that wasn't enrolled with the supplier, and I don't know who enrolled it, 18 cents. So I told him, I said, pick up the phone, call your utility, drop them, and just roll with the utility.
Utility
for a
with the
couple
standing
months. Yeah.
utility, yeah.
And in their instance, all the utilities obviously are impacted. Dayton Power and Light on their cost to compare was at 4.4 cents. They're headed to 10. So, and even over there, you'd think with that great of a jump that the suppliers would be able to compete. The suppliers are still 11 and 12.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it of your, Brenda and Brian, is it of your opinion that you'd rather lock something in now so we know what we're dealing with?
Well, I wanted to answer that correctly. Are you suggesting to lock something now on a short-term mark? Or are you wanting to see this window?
Or do you want a trigger point?
I think do the trigger point, because I think with that huge swing today, I mean, it's 11 cents. Utility's not going to 11 cents. folks won't, they shouldn't enroll at that. They're gonna lose, it's $240 a year difference in 3 cents down to the utility.
I did
So
I did our bill here and just compared if you were grabbing a hold of one of them .0425s,
Right,
we're only talking an $18 difference on $281 bill.
right.
But at the same time, if it went up to 6.8 or 7, if you could get that locked in, it was only about $11 higher.
All right, Mark, so other people that have given a trigger point, what number does that look like?
I would put that trigger point at, I'd put it just below 7 cents.
Okay.
I think that's the spot. Now, if the utility shows 7.35 a couple months in a row and we get just under it, I would say jump on,
And how long of a period are you
We watch
suggesting?
that.
I wouldn't do it more than a year because the futures, again, my concern is we're doing long term and we get the drop, we want to take advantage of the drop.
Sure.
So definitely just tackle.
So
The immediate 12 months has to be tackled on its own. And then after that, you can look at a longer term.
So if we said we want the trigger point to be anything under 7,
Right.
then how would that work? We'd give permission to do that, and then if it hits under, the aggregation starts at that point, and we get.
I'll send the paperwork and we just need it that day. It's happening so fast. Some of the suppliers saying 2-hour window before it was.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's literally last week when it was going to 880, suppliers had send us some for what we'll call mass market accounts, kind of small mom and pop shops. They sent out pricing at 9 every morning. By 11, they were pulling, saying,
Not the
and
pricing anymore.
anything that they custom quote by pulling actual data from meters, they're like quotes invalid. It's that fast. And I've been at Aspen 11 years. We've seen polar vortex was a little nippy for a month or two, and we saw some of that kind of activity then. But this is really prolonged. This is a long stretch. So, so I would put it that.
So just to help me clarify, because I don't know. So let's just say in 3 days, that thing jumps under 7. We write the aggregation quickly. Does that start now and in at the end of the fiscal year?
It'd be, it'll start, I need about 45 days lead time.
Okay.
So right now we'd be looking at, today would basically be July, more likely August.
But we'd set the rate. When we set the rate, we set the rate.
Locked in.
And then
right.
it's 45 days, then the aggregate, it would start for the residents.
And I'd probably do it.
And
we-
run through.
Probably next May.
Got
And then,
Got it.
because that seems to be the timeline
Okay.
where, because I have quotes for May, and they were in the 6s, May of next year. So they're in the
Okay.
upper 6s.
So if we're between 6 and 7 and we can lock that in.
We need a little cooperation from the market.
Yeah, and I'm concerned about the residents because
Right.
if we keep sitting back, a lot of them, 680 some customers are on our aggregation. I think if I looked at that sheet, or is it more than that?
I sent you that. I think that's right.
It was like, we have like 700 customers on our electric aggregation.
Yeah.
Okay, say they all do nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, but after a couple of months, they're sitting there, wow.
Say 100 of them go to another company that dings them at 18 in 90 days.
Well, the good news, it's not really good news that they did it. The good news is because it's a variable, they're not locked in. There are no early
They can call and say,
termination
no, thank you. I'm
fees. And they can call me and I can get them on.
Okay.
So,
I feel like from what you're saying, Brenda, and what the calls you're getting, I feel like we need to make a move.
I do too. I think that we're losing people.
Yeah.
And then the
That's
ones
what
we're not losing have no clue
Don't know what to do anyway.
and
Right.
they can't afford the increases that are
Right.
hitting them.
Right.
So I think that we have to take some type of action.
If you did a resolution to go anything under 7, and then Mark hits me with that, I could pretty much verbally at that time say
I'll
it, and then you send me
I'll
the
send you the
paperwork.
paperwork.
Do you have to have it like by all the trustees signed?
No,
or
just
by-
an official.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we.
And I don't need an original, anything like that. It can be faxed, emailed, done.
All right.
Okay.
And this will be for a 1 year, so you make your resolution, whatever
We
they
just want
cut
it
it.
for,
1
it's
year.
not a full year though.
No, I would just leave the rate and then make the term indeterminate. But the
Or
rate,
how about not to exceed 1 year? Because we want to.
I would put not to exceed 24 months. Then you've got
room.
you got room. I don't think you'll need it either, but
Yeah. But if the market goes the other way and everyone's locked in at 10 and we've got a 7, 6.9, you know.
right.
Well, you might want that 20. You might want that 24 months.
We're just really at a real wicked crossroads
Okay.
because there's still a chance it goes up. I think when AEP's auction takes place in November, they've got to go up again. So, you know, if we can get some relief here, weather needs to cooperate. Actually, the war hasn't had any impact on natural gas. So, because we're already at maximum as it is. So I thought there was a chance we'd send some to Germany after they shut down the Nord 2. But we don't have the capacity to send any more out, and they don't have any capacity to take
There's just so many factors. It's amazing.
It's-
There's so many factors.
It harkens back, I was in Mount Union, and it harkens back to macroeconomics. I haven't really seen much of it, you know, it's
I mean, it
been
affects
there
something
all the
else.
time. But with all the moving parts now, with COVID, with the weather, with, you know, world events and stuff, you see all the dynamics getting it.
Mark, I have one more question. Go back to the trustees. I know Canton Township was on a similar timeframe. Are they
Yeah.
choosing to get that, pick it?
They haven't made a decision yet. I still, Chris emailed me last week. I hadn't yet responded to him. He was asking kind of where the market was, and when he sent me that email, it was going straight up. So what I'm gonna do, I'll reach out to him tomorrow and kind of share with him where your numbers are, some of the clarity we have on where the utility will be, and go from there.
So Mark, I have a question. And that is, if we say not to exceed 24 months, but say in 12 months we want out, can we still get out? If we
Yeah.
want to change?
So if we did a 12-month agreement, it'd be in 12 months. But if we go, let's say we get to September and it runs through May, then at the end of May, we'd be starting a new agreement.
But if we said a 24-month agreement, then it's going to go
We're
for,
going to be with that number for 24 months.
that's what we're asking.
If we said 24, can we
Yeah, if
get
you
out
said-
before?
Yeah, if we said 24, can we get out
No,
20?
if you do 24 month,
You're in for 24.
24.
Okay, so let's not do the 2 years.
Yeah, the only option in that, there is a possible option there of doing what we call blend and extend with the current supplier. If the rate's high, we can add length to it to bring that rate down. We could do that.
Got it. Okay.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
So I think.
Mark, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. You're educating me highly. I didn't know any of this.
Great, no, it's
What do
a
you want
great
to
day, it's a great day for a
I
drive.
think that I would be okay saying anything under 7 for 12 months.
Okay. All right, trustee Varian moves. Let me get my notes here, I apologize. Trustee Varian moves to create a trigger point for Mark to help us. We would like our trigger point to be anything under 7 for our aggregation. We'd like to, if we can get something under 7, we'd like to go ahead and make a move on that. And the paperwork will be sent to Mr. Lowry. We'll also give permission for Mr. Lowry to do what he needs to do to get that back to Mark. We'd like to see that happen for a 12-month period.
And we'll take the lowest we can get under 7.
Right.
Yeah, right. And that was a motion, so I need a
Yeah,
second.
trustee Griffith seconds.
Then we're gonna do roll call. This is gonna be resolution 22-145.
Oh.
Roll call, Varian
Yes.
and Griffith.
Yes.
So Mark, do you need anything else from us?
Nope.
Okay.
And if anything changes, if I think you need to raise that point, I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
But I'm watching it and
Yeah.
hopefully
Okay, good.
keep our fingers crossed.
You got my phone number,
I
right?
do, all
So if
20 of them.
Yeah, that's what I said. Make sure you call immediately.
So
when
it's how-
it
it's
happens.
how-
Said that out loud,
So
didn't
I
I?
can
And it's
immediately-
recorded. I laughed with my wife. I said, the only time anybody's happy with what's coming out of my mouth is when I'm singing.
Hey, Mark, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
Appreciate your
Great
time
day
being
for a
here.
drive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
You don't have to stay, Mark.
Yeah, you
I'm going home.
you probably don't want to stay.
I'm too close to my mom and too close to my mother-in-law. It's time to go home.
There's how you go home.
Bye.
All right. Hey, thank you, Mark. All right. Do you need anything else from us, Brian?
Not on that.
You think, okay,
I think I can.
all right, we got 22-145 on that one. Okay, all right, fire report.
The only thing I had was, Brian, did you get, a message from Dan about the backup battery for the alarm system?
No.
Okay, I will send that to you. We need a backup battery for the fire alarm system at the station. It is $17, but it needs to be ordered.
Can it, is this for the main security?
Yes.
Because I know we pick ours up over at the hardware.
I think he said he checked at Ace and they didn't have what we needed.
With the type you had. Okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, to me, if Dan could have emailed that, like if he did it in the last few hours, because I didn't check.
Okay.
But if he did do that, I can get that real quick.
Okay. That's all I have.
I have some stuff.
That's wonderful.
That is,
That's inside the
that
kid that
is
doesn't really
wonderful.
want to be here.
Okay, we've got a couple things here. Higher billing, $1,200 for Medicaid, Medicare, 1-year data collection.
Yeah, I'm gonna, Amy, I did get to talk to Amy in total about this because the office got this, but what happened, our township got selected to do a survey by Medicare and Medicaid that we have to perform.
Okay.
If we don't, it's a 10% cut on all our billing.
Really?
So for example, I had an analysis done by Ohio Billing. We had $68,000 one year, 73,000 last year, and 67,000 the year before. So you can do the math, 10% off of all those each year, we lose that money. So what happens is, Sue and I started looking at this and I said, Sue, you realize this is like a whole nother job for someone. We have to report every month for the next 12 months on this report.
Okay.
And it needed to start in January. I procrastinated, I'll tell on myself just enough because I knew we had a cushion, but the deadline's going to happen. The problem with it is there's a lot of things they need, and a lot of that is through Ohio Billing, and it's through what Amy's and her staff key into the system that is all gathered. So it's almost like you're creating this whole big thing that like another job. So when I started looking at it, the average, what Ohio Billing says that places are spending is anywhere from 10 to 20 hours bi-weekly to do this. And I'm thinking, there's just no way I could do that in the office without bringing somebody in. So what I did is I asked Ohio Billing, I said, what's all the other entities that you have? And they have 17 other ones. They had created that they'll do it for you. $1,200.
They'll do it for you.
$1,200
For the
1
year?
year. For 1 year. And then after that year, we're done unless they would ask for another audit. It's an audit is what it is.
Yeah.
So if for $1,200, my math tells me it's far cheaper than bringing a whole bunch of other people into the picture, bogging our office down for $1,200 and let Ohio Billing, we still will have to help them. They'll call us, need something, but it's a lot easier because they have the grid, they have the software that we would need, they have everything to do it. And that's what I was asking. I know I just got a lot of this here last week, but
Where would something like that $1,200 come out of?
a general fund.
Okay.
And either that or the soft billing of our 2282 or 2281. And what I was thinking, because the office would normally take care of that as part of the office, I could split it between the two at 600 and 600, and it would be very workable to pay it out of the soft billing.
Yeah, I'm saying it should come out of soft billing.
What's that?
It should come out of the soft billing.
And the reason I think it should is because we do all the work at our end. Amy's staff does all the stuff on calls, but we still have to coordinate and match up with the higher billing in our office.
I feel that if they'll do it for that charge and they have all the data and they have all the stuff they need, it's going to just make it easier.
I know it is, and I don't want to make it sound that easy, but it's a lot better than
don't think
having
we have
any
the-
staff and having to do.
I don't
create
think
a
we
whole
have,
other
I don't think
wheel.
we have the
We
staff.
have too much going on
We have
with
too
this
much
other
going on.
grant from the American Rescue Act and those funds. I say we hand this one off.
I agree.
So I'll make a motion to approve that we pay Ohio Billing the $1,200 for the year to gather the Medicare, Medicaid information.
Trustee Varian, second.
And put my name on there to be the signer. So
And
that-
Brian Lowry will be the signer on that.
Trustee Varian, second. All those in favor?
Roll
Oh,
call,
sorry.
roll call, Varian.
Yes.
And Griffith.
Yes.
Great. All right, thank you. I'm glad that they have a program that'll help us with that.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Really, really good. Okay, approval needed for then and now for engine 241, repairs of $487.32. Who is this paid to, or will be paid to?
Apologize, it's in the bill.
Oh, you're all right. Is it
I think it was RB.
is
Somebody
it
just double check.
CNB? RB's?
It
Okay.
was
All
RB.
right, that's fine.
Yes, it's RB's.
All right, great.
And this was one of those things where it went up there, you didn't know what it was gonna cost to repair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Just need-
Trustee Varian makes a motion to approve it then and now. Paid to R&B's for a total of $487.32 for repairs on engine 241.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
All those in favor? Oh, wait, another roll call. I
That's all
apologize.
right. No, you can do it. I'll go Varian.
Yes,
and Griffith.
Yes.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, perfect. Before we do call volume here, let's real quick let's talk ambulance quickly. After the last meeting, I was sent a quote by, I forwarded this quote on to, I believe, Amy Bryan and the two other trustees as well. Let me look it up here. Give me 1 second. I had it in front of me a minute ago. Okay, so it looks like this is a quote for a 2022 four-wheel drive gasoline engine F450 chassis, built to spec of the ambulance. And so the wheelbase is just one small portion of an ambulance spec truck. So I found out through some research that no one will have this on their lot. It's not going to happen because they're built ambulance spec. It's going to have 2 alternators. It's going to have all these things that an ambulance needs. So I'm getting my education on this. Like we talked before, the bad news is 2022s no longer exist. And the worst news is 2023s aren't orderable until the end of the year. So we're going to wait for a long, long time. But I will tell you that the 2 bids that I got from 2 Ford dealers for the government bid both came in the same, which was really nice.
Oh, that is nice.
Yep, they both came in the same. So that there was, because I know Randy had an issue with some government bid stuff, state bid stuff, so we, looking at this pre-tax adjustment, post-tax adjustment. Okay, so we are looking, let's see here, basic. Oh, these are the warranties. I need to get away from that. Okay. All right, so we're looking at a truck that's 54. Now, remember, this is just a new cabin chassis. Brand new 2022 cost would be $54,660. I would say that it's probably a fair statement to put in a 4 to 5% increase on that number to cover ourselves for the 2023, because we're not even able to get a 2022.
So we can't get a 22, but when can we get the 23? Can we still get it this year? At the end
I don't
of
think we
this
can
year?
order it until December.
Oh, because a lot of times they have 23s in the fall.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that the Ford dealers both were like, I don't know how Ford's going to make any money if they're not producing anything for this long period of time. So the window to order 23s isn't there yet. So what I asked the salesman was, what if we decided we wanted to do this? And this one's through Liberty. The one I have in front of me is through Liberty Ford in Canton, downtown Ford. He said, if you have a purchase agreement written up, we'll order as soon as we can, and we don't need any money until we see a truck. So that would be a good thing. He did not talk about a deposit. There may be, but he did not include that. So at $54,660, times 0.05, that'd be a 27. So if it's a 5% increase, that'd be 22 plus 660. If we saw a 5% increase, we'd be looking at an ambulance cab and chassis for $57,500. And this is all based on our ambulance company being willing to either put a brand new box on it or put a rebox that fits.
Which we can decide that later.
We can decide that later because we're buying the chassis.
Right.
Right.
And that's the state bid price from another one too, they match?
Yep, there's another, it was the same, I didn't print it because it came in, it's the same, it's just a different. They're all, it's kind of funny, they're all coming, these estimates are all coming from their medium duty. I think the reason it's the same is they're all coming from their medium duty warehouse, which is not the dealerships. It's all this medium duty warehouse, which is the same. So I think I pretty much got the same quote from the same place, but they just put Liberty on one and they put Charchone on the other. That makes sense. So, yeah.
Is there a preference on who you're gonna deal with for me to make it out?
I personally would rather deal with Liberty just because it's Canton rather than Randolph for Charchone. I really like Dave Ewing. He's been really good to work with. He owned Ewing's in East Canton, then moved to Louisville. Kind of fun. That was years and years and years ago, but he's selling for them. So I bring this back up just because I would say that time's a bit of an essence, and the fact that, you know, the later we order it, probably the longer it's going to take. So that's where we are on that.
So I thought we talked about if you got a couple bids
Mhm.
and it's for the same exact thing,
Mhm.
which is what we want, correct?
Right.
Gas,
F-450
okay,
cab, truck cab, not a van
four-wheel
cab.
drive.
Four-wheel drive. Yeah, regular cab, not a crew cab, not an extended cab, just regular cab, like most ambulances are.
And how does that work with the Reeboks? Have they said that chassis?
So
That
these
check will work with
these
that.
specs are all from the ambulance builder that we want to use. So
Okay.
they gave us the spec sheet and said, if you buy it or we buy it, this is what we're buying. And so we copied and pasted that to our Ford guys, and they gave us the sheet.
So I say we go ahead then.
I think we should. I think it's time to make a move on it. I know that
At
Brian.
least get in line.
I know that Brian would prefer to have a
Basically it.
total price on the project. At this point, I don't really have a very good number for that because I'd like to see us. I mean, if we can get a good deal on a Reeboks and save some money, that'd be great. But we don't really have that option at this point.
And I actually think, I'm not sure the 5% increase is quite enough. I think we should
Yeah.
go to 60,
Okay,
just not to exceed 60.
not to see 60. And the reason I hope that we might be able to get a deal in the future is if he has an entire year, and like we've all said, there's a lot of little places like us that are getting new equipment. So a lot of it's gonna be traded in, you figure. If we say to him, we've ordered this cab and chassis that you gave us specs for, now keep your eyes open. I'm hoping in a couple months he says, oh, I got this really nice ambulance and that we're planning on pulling the box off of. So,
Right, and I think that we have to kind of get ready for that or we'll miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
So if we know
Mr.
we're in line
Mr.
for
Lowry?
an order.
what are you thinking?
I'm just, keep in mind, trustees, the hard thing for me to answer, I mean, I say go ahead and do it. I'd like to do this on both the road department, because this is coming out of American Rescue money. I'd like to do it on both vehicles, because I'm also trying to figure out the premium paid for this $419,000 that we've received half of it so far, and we have only spent right now only about $6,000. And I did get that report all done by the April 30th deadline, and what I'm seeing on there is that we can have multiple projects.
Okay.
And I keep thinking this project sounds like it's going to change price. Because if the 57, say a chassis, well then to get it a year from now,
Right,
I believe, if I remember everything I read, until 2026, you have to spend it, but you have to have it
Allocated.
allocated by 2024.
yeah.
So we have some
I think
time.
just
Isn't
encumbered.
this something to have?
Yeah.
But for me to sit there and give you like, how long can we do our premium pay? How long can we do?
We don't know those numbers.
I don't
We're
know
not
those
gonna have
numbers.
those answers on anything.
So
But
I say get it ordered because
Okay.
you do have a capital fund that has money in it for that
Okay.
ambulance to make up some difference.
All right.
We do have a capital fund for that road truck to make up the difference
Okay.
of anything if it increases 6% or 5%. And keep in mind, there'll be a whole nother wave of money come in for a
Right.
whole nother year
Right.
on our
Well,
regular
and-
soft billings and things like that I take that
And
money.
also, remember too, when we talk about these quotes, we have 3 now. And remind me of the company that we want to go with,
Lifeline.
Lifeline, thank you. So Lifeline's quote was, if with the new cot, which we might not have to do because we can get it, you may possibly use ours retrofit. It was 260 something with the chassis. So take 60 off of that. So that was them buying the chassis. So when you're thinking about those numbers we've talked about, we've thrown around these big numbers, that all of these have the chassis included. We're purchasing the chassis locally so we can get it and get it going. And then we're trying to possibly favor the idea of using a Reeboks in the future. And it sounds like the salesman I talked to at Ford, he kind of laughed. He's like, I don't care what ambulance company you're working with. I'm a Ford dealer. If I can't order it, they can't order it. So you can tell them you want them to order it, but they're not ordering any faster than I am.
Trustees,
So-
I would say that after going through this American Rescue Act report,
Yeah.
I say order it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to go
Let's
ahead and
order.
go with Liberty Ford,
Okay.
or what's the name?
Yeah, it's Liberty.
Okay,
It was downtown.
okay.
All right. Okay. Trustee Varian moves to order a new cabin chassis to build an ambulance from Liberty Ford, downtown Canton, which most likely will outsource to their medium duty company, not to exceed $60,000.
Trustee Griffith will second that?
Roll call, Varian.
Yes.
And Griffith.
Yes.
Okay. Randy's
We
not.
finally
here.
made a move. We finally made a
Randy's
move.
gonna come back and what? Hey, Miss Fields. All right. Thank you. Do you want to go over the calls real quick?
Sure, and I feel like I owe you guys some paper towels from our staff. 26 calls, 3 assists from Louisville, although I believe, I don't have the sheet in front of me, I believe 2 of those were either an accident or like a second call.
Okay.
1 from Quad, again on an accident, and then 1 from Township. So we're still, my schedules have still been looking pretty good.
Great.
I would like to look into the possibility of hiring 1 or 2 more people. We just have some of ours who are looking at other jobs and just kind of our typical, hey, I don't know.
Okay.
So the officers and I are kind of putting out our feelers to see if we can kind of look at a couple more people. I know that looks at other things like gear and all of that, but I'm hoping that
Who just came back fairly recently? Was it Casey?
Casey.
Has she been able to pull some
Yeah.
hours from the schedule?
Yeah.
Great.
Yep, she's actually been filling a lot of nights, which is actually super useful. So
Great.
It's been good.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And trustees, I might add that in the spreadsheets that I work off of Amy's, when she gives them to me on payroll, when you have less staff, the average hourly rate is higher because the staff that's there is their premium pay.
Mhm.
So give you an example, the last one was the average hourly was 20.46.
Per hour.
When you put in all the premium pays and
Right.
stuff into it,
Right.
I'm usually working that in the $18 range when you have a full crew.
Got
You'll notice when you use 15 or 16 people, that drops. When you only use 13 people, it goes up.
Okay.
So it does help to have depth in your staff.
Great.
Yeah, it helps too when people call off and just in general.
Yeah, so but what are we at number wise now?
I think we're at 15.
15?
15.
Because we like to see us sitting around 18. So I would say keep doing that
Good.
till we hit that 18 at least.
I got in the mail the parade flyer.
We'll be there.
Well, I did have a concern.
Yep.
And that is, they changed the route.
Okay.
Oh, did they?
That's what nobody's paying attention to. They changed
No, I
the
didn't.
route.
I didn't read the back. The back one has the route and I read it.
Yeah, the route now takes you down and they're crossing the railroad tracks and they're coming up and they're closing off that road. What's that road in front of the fire station?
Church.
And they're gonna go down Church. And they didn't talk to us at all. And so now, if you have a call,
You're gonna, you have to go out down
and
Orchard
besides
Road,
that, we're blocking 30
or Wood, I mean.
and we're blocking 172. And if other places are coming through with their ambulances, I don't know why this was done without talking. So they didn't talk with you guys at all?
I have no idea, Shane.
Isn't the route, isn't the route for people to get around the parade to take a left on Wood, take a right on Church, go down Church? But I don't know.
I didn't look, to be honest.
The reason they changed it is because the parade's become so long. The tail was catching the beginning, or the beginning was catching the tail. But I think it's
Got it.
gonna cause a problem for you guys. Because it's that long, you're gonna be blocked off for a long time.
Well, I mean, if we have, the hope is to have a truck and an ambulance in the parade, so we are usually at the very end, so we just split off if we need to, and that's happened before, that we've gotten called during the parade, because you know,
Yeah.
that's what, like,
Right. But it doesn't account for the other places around us trying to come through.
Yeah.
Get to
right, well, yeah.
Our little town stops, like most.
You just gotta open it up and let them through.
Okay. All right. You guys, are you good
Am I should?
to go?
The other thing is, are you guys gonna be able to do the festival, the 10th
Yeah,
and
we
11th?
plan to be there. Yep.
Okay.
I believe the plan is like the last couple of years where we just have a hose line and the
Hose.
houses and stuff and some
Fun.
information and, yeah.
Say it again, the hoses?
They have a hose.
We have like, we
they have
made the
fire hose.
houses where the kids can like put
Oh,
out
where
the
they
fire.
spray.
and then-
No, the reason why I'm asking, because I'm thinking where we're gonna put you then.
You have to be close enough to a hydrant, right? Don't you tie into a hydrant? Yeah.
Yep.
Because you guys don't have a truck sitting there. There's not enough space.
Usually just ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the ambulance. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I think that's all for fire. Thank you. All right. Did I misplace that? Moving along, whatever is next. How about cemetery report?
I know Ryan isn't here tonight, but I know he had a open and closing.
Okay.
But I have not received those funds yet. Only thing I had, and I wanted to bring back up, is back when we did a Enviroscape, gave us a quote on spraying the driveways at Mapleton and
Yes.
Indian Run. I let you trustees know that we wanted to give Bex Lawn Care an opportunity of that, and he did get this estimate to me. Now, he's a little more in depth with it, because the Enviroscape was only gonna do Indian Run and Mapleton, the driveways. Well, back when he did and I can tear this apart, but he sprayed the perimeter of Wildwood Cemetery. That's approximately 2 times per season, $155. Because around Wildwood, the perimeter, it wants to creep over. And I know the road guys and different ones that help knock that back, because that's part of that. Spray the driveway and perimeter fence rows at Indian Run. That was another thing, across that back of Indian Run, we get a lot of ivy and stuff growing over. And what he did, he broke this all down so we can pick and choose these. And then the driveways at Mapleton and the tree line, he had spray the perimeter of Elsa Cemetery approximately 2 times a year. Elsa Cemetery is the one there, right there by, I want to say Norma Jean Bechtel's, that little one there, because that thing it takes over. And then spray the new cemetery, Kuntz Cemetery, along the railroad, that edge. If you go up there, look where the railroad is, there's a whole edge there that has to be knocked back. He wants to keep that knocked back so it don't keep creeping out in there. Well, his whole quote for doing all of them was $690. And he gave us the permits and his liability information. The Enviroscape, just to do the 2 was at $485. You might as well say $500, but just to do the 2. But there again, I told him I'd present that to make a decision.
I make a motion, we hire Bex. He's our local guy to do all of them at that price.
All right?
Do we have the money? I mean, I know the cemetery account barely has any money in it. Where would we pay that out of?
The cemetery, we usually pay it out of that cemetery
Okay, are
fund.
we okay at 660?
We're okay at 660. The only thing I worry about is what we're gonna do to do like tree takedowns once
Yeah.
Ryan gets the quotes. We'll have to make some decisions on what we're doing at the Coon Cemetery,
Okay.
to do some tree. We gotta work on some tree stuff there.
I think Brenda made a motion, so
I did.
I will second that.
Okay, so that's.
I'm glad that we can use
We'll
a
do
local guy.
roll call, Varian.
Yes.
And Griffith.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
That's all I would have then.
All right, road report, Mr. Onkefer.
Yeah, good
Sir.
evening. Good evening. You looked over the road report, any questions? Okay, moving on.
Hey, you went to Township, Washington and Canton to look at Kenworth and Freightliner. Did you get a chance to drive them?
Nope.
Okay. You just ran your finger along?
Well, we ran up real quick too, and
Okay.
to Young's. up
Okay.
there.
What'd you
All
find?
the salesmen were out for lunch,
Of course they were.
and I left my card there for the salesperson, and she
Okay.
gave me his, and
Alright.
he's supposed to give me a call.
Great.
So where are we at with the project that Randy was handling on over there off of, is it Mid-A?
Midday? Don't know.
I can
Okay.
I can update them on what I have
Okay.
for the MIDI project, because I just received the last part. You trustees had asked me about our insurances and all these things, and I think I've answered all those that our guys, as long as they're working within their realm, can work on that. Also, Randy had got me from Stark County Engineer's Office, it's like an agreement with that landowner, how far we can go over on his property and stuff like that. I converted it into our township letterhead. I took all this information and gave it to Joel Blue, our Stark County prosecutor, for an opinion. And he just got this back. I got it this morning at 10:41 a.m. and he's had it for a few weeks. Says, "Dear Mr. Lauer, as I understand your question," then he goes on to all the legal stuff on it. He said, he talks about mutual agreements. He says you can get into stuff where you can mutually do something with the landowner. He just wanted to point that out because he's citing like a Ohio Revised Code, chapter 6131 and all these things. But he said he doesn't see any reason why you couldn't go identify how far you're going to go. And it says, I would recommend that you continue to consult with the county engineer on this project in order to assure you have all the necessary documents in place. I mean, this is only this much stuff, you can read it, but he's taken one Ohio Revised Code and it talks about ditching along with cleaning out, how far over. And you got to identify all these things. As long as we identify how far we're going, what we're doing, and that resident agrees with that, he's saying that you should be okay to do what we were suggesting. I think.
And I did call Randy and tell him 100 feet. I went back out and I used the wheel
Oh, did you?
and went down from right at the end of the culvert to where that drops off into those
100
cabins.
feet will do it?
Yeah, 100 feet should do it.
The work agreement that I sent to the prosecutor, it's simple, it's one page, but there's a place where it has to be wrote in, like how many feet, they have to sign it.
Okay.
And all these things, it's just one sheet. And the prosecutor said this is good because they make these forms for Stark County engineers.
Okay.
So I just put it on our letterhead, so I have that prepared, but I would give this to Randy to get with us.
Let him fill that out and
Let
get
him
with the
fill it
owner.
out.
Yeah,
Him and Stu with how many feet,
okay.
and
Well, they
then,
need to list exactly what you're doing.
yeah.
I have it wrote up here already for both culverts, what it's gonna cost.
No, but I meant actually what you're doing to the ground.
For
Oh.
the owner's sake.
Yeah,
For
so-
for the legality later.
If he thinks you're bringing dirt in or you're digging it out, and if you're
We're
digging
digging it out now. I was already told that he does not want it taken out of there, just have it swung around and flipped that on the ground.
Spread out.
Oh, yeah, he didn't say spread out, but he does,
Maybe
Andy
be
Parker
specific.
said he was willing to dig it out, keep moving it with him as he went
Hauling.
up towards the
Spread it
road and hauled it all away, but he said, no, leave the dirt there. The landowner,
I won't write
He
that
wants to
in.
keep his dirt.
Yep.
he
So
wants to keep his dirt right.
if
We'll
you're,
write that in, so when he signs it, it says right on here, dirt will be left on property.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
And that if you're just putting it in a pile as you go,
Right.
not spreading, so you want to be specific, so he doesn't come back and say, well, you didn't spread it out.
Well,
So put in there, piling it as we go.
we'll make sure we know which way that is, whether it's spread out or just piled.
Okay.
So.
So Brian, you have all the things that you need for approval then, correct?
I have all the things for to go on this fellow's property. I know Stu was working with Andy on the quotes and the pricing, so I will throw that back at Stu because that's the cost for Andy and our crew to come in there and actually they'll be teamed up with Andy and working with him to do this project.
The mini project, it'll take roughly around 20 ton of 304 for seating the pipe back in and, covering it up, which is $300. And then you have the 30-foot of 30-inch pipe, which was $36.25 a foot. That's $1,087.50. Then the black top is roughly somewhere around the 5 ton to fill the back in after we compact it, the 304 in. And then that comes to roughly $341 for the 5 ton. And then Parker's, it was $1,600 he had quoted, but we said he only raised it $100 to go out there 100 foot and dig that. So his
17.
is 1,700, and that total comes to $34,2850 to do that culvert.
So that 3428, just so I understand, that's going to include Andy, all the things you mentioned.
Andy, blacktop, the pipe, and the 304.
That doesn't include like your guys' time or anything. And you're not
No,
bringing
but we're gonna
anybody-
help be there for
Yeah.
him, like when he digs through and puts it into our trucks and stuff, and we haul that stuff away and bring the 304 back in. He will have his
What's he gonna put in your trucks? What he's digging out from under the road?
under the road only.
And what are you gonna do with it?
It'll probably either go back to the garage or, we have some different places we can dump.
Well, it should be a pretty good fill.
Well, I'll have to look at that. You never know when you get into those situations.
It's gonna be watery.
Well,
Water all the way around the pipe.
we've
Pretty
done
much.
places out like that and you bring up huge rocks and everything else out of there. You don't know. But anyway,
Well, the reason why I'm suggesting it, if it's really rocky, stony, we could probably use some on that road we're creating over there on Otter, on Orchard, in the senior housing.
oh,
We need some stone base there. If you're getting something up that's good for a base. We're trying to
We'll
find
see
some
what
base
it is.
materials.
Will that road be named Orchard?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because there's two sides of Orchard.
Yeah, it was already designed and plotted. It
Got
just was never built.
Got it. Probably made it easier.
and then Slater, over on Slater, it's exactly the same except for the $100 less than what it was over there on Midi.
So,
So that came to 33,2875.
okay.
So the grand total was $6,757.25
Do we,
for
do
both
we,
projects.
do we need to approve on this so we keep moving, or are we waiting for Randy to get this?
What's
done?
the timing on the Slater one? The same amount?
Yeah, and he wants to try to do them both
I
on the
mean,
same
how
day, and
long
that
is it?
might be pushing it.
Am I pushing it?
If we have a problem or something, I don't want to be,
Rushing.
when you got a road shut down, we want to get,
You want to get it right.
I told him, do the one the first day,
Schedule the other one on today.
the next one on the very next day if the weather's,
You got to put it all back together too.
well, that's what I mean, yeah.
Brian, do we have that in the budget?
When I say yes, it's in the road budget program. It just takes away from
The chip and seal.
chip and seal and anything
Or-
else we do,
Yeah,
but
like
that's
I-
part of prepping that road for chip and seal.
Yeah, that's true.
So you
These will
normally
never
have
have to
to
be
do
touched
it.
again there on those
Yeah.
parts.
I think we should do them separately though for motions.
Okay.
And Andy's helping on both of them for
And
that.
he's to help him do both of them. He'll have his
So-
excavator in there. He will even have a roller in there to compact it.
Do we get two bills
Tamper.
from Andy? Or do we get two bills from Andy?
Yeah, we need to keep them separate projects.
That's fine. I'll tell him that.
I'll
But
make a
they-
motion that we approve the project on Mid-A for a total price of $3,428.50.
Trustee Varian, second.
Roll call, Barron,
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes. I'll make a second motion that we approve the project on Slater for $3,328.75.
Trustee Varian, second.
Roll call, Barron.
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Great. All right.
Yeah, I should have brought this up when you were talking about the fire station.
That's right.
But this is about fixing the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
But the only thing on this I don't have, and I don't know how to, I can't guess at that. It's gonna be hard to tell. When we start digging those soft spots out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if we're gonna go down 8 inches, a foot, or whatever, and depending on what the base looks like in there, whether we have to put 1s and 2s, and then the 304 over that, or just be able to put the 304 back, you know what I'm saying?
Did,
We ain't gonna know.
did
Until
Mr.
we
Piero
get-
get an answer back from the Tri-County
I have
Solid
no
Waste?
idea, never told me.
Because you got a table.
Yeah. All right.
For Stu to get him to help him and.
Yeah, we don't know what we're getting from them,
Okay.
so we
Yeah.
can. All right,
We'll let that
we'll-
go then.
We'll do that next round. Sounds good.
Okay.
Moving along.
Talked to Brent today, Van Bors.
Building that pump for us.
The pump's back together, he's waiting for one seal.
Great.
He said as soon as he gets that seal, we
Okay.
will have it back. He said everything looks good. He polished those gears and pins and stuff, the rollers and stuff, and
Great.
machined the ends where it needed to be, and got all new O-rings. Said it looks good.
Great.
He's just waiting for that one seal, and then I.
So does Lepo know we're bringing him a rebuilt pump? And
Nope, they don't know yet, but
Okay.
when I go up there, I'm sure I'm gonna have to,
Alright.
you know, sign a paper or waiver
Oh,
or
sure.
something
Yeah, because they're putting a
of them putting it back in there that they have no, you know,
Yeah.
liability on that if it leaks or doesn't work out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we have to-
didn't have a whole lot of
They
choices.
fill out paper
Yeah.
or do something, I'll double check with them to make sure.
All right. Great.
Um,
We're okay for the rental for a little while. Do they know we need it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
They know we need it until.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought we ran it for a
That,
whole month.
we're renting it for a whole month at $1,760.
Great.
Motion.
We need a motion for that?
Yeah.
All right. Did you say it was $1,760?
$1,760 is what they told me.
All right. Trustee Varian, would you like this as a minute now?
No, 'cause
The
you
bill has
can
not
do
come
it.
out?
You can
Okay.
do it.
If you went
because-
weekly, it'd be 700, a week, that'd be 20.
Trustee Varian moves to pay Lepo rents the sum of $1,760 for a month-long rental of a mini excavator.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
All those in favor? Roll call.
Roll call, Barron.
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Great.
I received a phone call, or I didn't receive it, I called him several times, finally got through to Dwayne Miller. Says that he is going to be coming tomorrow to start on backfilling footers. He said the whole week's really nice, he wants to try to get up here and get this whole thing cemented.
Did this equipment just show up tonight?
No,
That's been
the
sitting there?
neighbors up here.
Oh, okay, okay.
He asked me for that. set.
Oh, gotcha, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Cool.
So we didn't get our steel frame yet?
It is at the yard.
What yard?
The roof and everything is at Miller's yard.
Oh,
He
okay.
told me on the phone.
Okay.
And that he was calling around trying to find places to get stone from to backfill those footers, compact them. So I hope he found them because some places it's getting hard to find stuff.
Mhm.
So that's all I can tell you.
Here's my update. You done?
Yep.
And Stu did a good job, everything. I've been trying to get, at the last meeting, you recall Trustee Puro and he was gonna make some phone calls with Dwayne, the attorney, and get some answers from inspection, if anything else needed inspected, so we keep this project moving. I know he's reached out just like Stu has, and when they do talk to Dwayne, it's like, I'll be here tomorrow, I'll be here tomorrow. Now, I know Stu just updated what he talked today. Trustee Puro talked to me earlier today, basically said that Dwayne and him had talked, and that Dwayne didn't understand why we weren't releasing any money to him. So Trustee Puro explained to him that according to the agreement, certain things had to be in place, such as invoicing, proof that he has the roof order, proof that all these things, and I don't have it yet. So Trustee Puro said today, he told Dwayne to call our attorney, Charlie Hall, which Charlie said that, he's welcome to any call. After Trustee Puro hung up with me, I saw that I was working. I saw that Dwayne had made a phone call to me, but I didn't get a message. So he reached out to me, but he should have been talking to me all along since January when I tried to reach out to him about what I needed to present. So I'm still not comfortable with this man's word because I don't have all the things I need. So I know he asked Randy for payment, that $68,000. I'm still going to hold my guns till I see we get what we need.
I would actually write down the items, make a little list. This is what you need.
I got it.
So if you have that to handy, as soon as you bring me that,
I got
we'll
it.
process
I
payment.
gave that to Randy at the last meeting.
And I think if we have a list, and you already have it,
Yeah.
and he fulfills that list,
Yeah.
you get a check.
Yeah.
But until you fulfill the list, you don't.
Yeah.
This is adult stuff, folks.
Yeah.
This is the list
And
of
remember,
adult life here.
trustee, Stu is reporting to you that he talks to this guy. And this
Right. I've
guy
talked
says,
to him.
hey, I
I've
got
talked to him
this.
a couple
You
times.
And I've
talk
been
to-
writing down and
I'll have-
dating every time I talk.
Randy's talked to him more than I have. But I've talked to him.
I'll have it there tomorrow. I'll be there to start. There's no weather delays. There's
I would
nothing
be
about
in.
weather. Now he's making a comment, oh,
He
it's
said he
nice
was gonna
this
be
week.
here last week.
These,
I would say that your procrastination is not our emergency. I
Exactly.
would sit and wait for every one of those documents to come in before you cut a check.
okay.
Easy.
That's what I say.
I
I
agree.
agree.
I agree with that.
100%.
All he's got to do is put together the documentation that he told us he was going to do, and then he gets
I
paid.
do think
Simple.
we need to get him the list. So Randy may have it, but he may not have given it to him.
Supposedly, he didn't give it to him because he said, call the attorney. And I said to Randy, I said, the attorney don't have that list. He has the
No, we
agreement.
need to give him the list.
Yeah.
So
I
if you
agree.
have a
Per-
copy, maybe
per the
let Stu
agreement.
keep it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you've seen.
Per the
work, you hand
agreement.
him the list.
Per the agreement, he
I don't
wrote
have
us a
no
bill,
list.
an invoice.
Somebody else
Well,
can get it.
he's got the agreement. He
Right.
should just, all he has to do is read it. I have it highlighted, everything I
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
Will you give a copy to Stu? And if the guy shows up tomorrow, he can hand him the
I'm gonna
list.
be here tomorrow.
Oh, you'll
just
be
so you
here?
know. I
Okay.
physically will be here to watch when he told Stu, I'll be here tomorrow. So let's see him pull in there tomorrow.
Don't hold
Okay.
your breath. You have to call the ambulance.
Because remember, the same fella told the metal company that he didn't even know who I was twice.
We'll see if he shows
We'll
up.
see, because I want to call him out on.
He said he was gonna show
All
up.
right, Mr. Humphrey, do you have anything else, buddy?
No, I don't think anything else is really pressing.
All right, thank you, bud. Okay, moving along. How about we go to zoning report?
Okay. Since the last meeting, there was one permit issued. They had a solar project earlier in the year that they finished up, so this is adding more solar panels to that.
Gotcha.
On the nuisance side of things, well, I drove by Swallen and it looks like he's getting that stuff put in the garage. He's working on getting that cleaned up.
Okay.
So I'll give that another week or two and see how it's
Have you
going.
talked to the Levins family at all, the neighbors? Has
Not
he called
yet.
you in recently? Okay.
He hasn't reached out to me.
right.
about it yet.
Just curious. He was one of our who calls in.
And over on Indian Run, that house, I got a phone call from a resident today. Yesterday, one of the people that is over at that property was walking down the middle of the road. He was wearing a dress and he was straight down the middle of the road. They called the cops. A couple of the neighbors there called the cops. They walked him back home. Apparently, this is almost a weekly occurrence, something like this. They asked me to bring it up, see what we can do with that, but she also mentioned the junk and stuff there.
This is the Indian Run property.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I came by there on my way in tonight and the camper doors are all hanging open now.
Mhm.
Maybe there's not a door on it.
Yeah, I think from what I was told there, plywood that was on the door was taken off within the last couple of days.
That might be it. There might just not be a door on it.
Yeah. But she was mentioning about the junk and all the stuff around that property and concerned about that as well.
Did she talk to you separate from this note? Did she email you, or how did you communicate with?
I talked to her this morning. She gave me a phone call.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
So she just wanted to see
Would you
What
like
we
me
can
to
do.
follow up with her?
if you don't mind.
Sure, I will. So at this point, when I follow up with her, where are we on the nuisance side of the property before we talk about the guy walking on the street? So on the property, where are we as far as how many citations, how many notes, where are we with that so I can give her an update?
He's gotten 4 letters.
Okay.
3 or 4 letters from me.
Okay.
I know the cops been out there several times.
Okay.
Last year, the health department went out and they couldn't really do anything about a couple of the issues at that point in time.
Okay. What is our next step on this?
I would send him another
Well,
letter.
Before you send another letter, I guess we need to go back to Ohio Revised Code and find out exactly what he's violating in Ohio
Yeah.
Revised Code.
Yeah.
You know, is it,
I mean, the problem is you can't go in and cut his high grass because you're going to run over all the stuff that's in the high grass.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
it is. I think that we just need to look at the revised code because you can have a pile of debris, but there's a size limit. I think it's like a 4x3 or something.
Mhm.
I don't remember the exact size limit. So I think that we need to define those rules. We need to define to him what he's breaking
Okay.
and not just that your place looks like trash.
Right. We've
You
got
have
to
to
follow,
be-
we've got to follow the rules.
Yeah, we have to follow the
Mhm.
rules. We have to define which rules he's breaking.
And in Ohio Revised Code, you're allowed to live in a camper?
It doesn't reference that. It's
Okay.
more of a township.
More of a township thing?
We don't allow people to live in campers unless there's a reason. And the reason is, in the past has been, like if it's a hardship case.
Right.
So you're taking care of somebody or something.
Right.
We've done that if we have had a resident with dementia and a relative lives there short-term.
Mhm.
None of these are long-term, they're short-term.
Right.
If you're building a house, sometimes you can live in a camper while if you're pulling your permits and you're doing the things you're supposed to do. After a period of time, if you're not doing that, then you're done.
All right, I will call this resident back and share some of these things that we're working on. Thank you.
I do think if you go to our zoning, typically campers are supposed to be kept behind houses, not out front. So that could be something that you could look at for the camper. I don't know that it's allowed to be sitting out by the road like that. Yeah, and it's not even in a driveway, so it's just there.
You could probably answer this probably better than anybody in the room because you're in the business. If the health department comes out and fails the septic, can they actually condemn the house?
No, They can't condemn the house, but they can, no one can live there
Can't be.
if it doesn't
can't be
have,
occupied.
or it can't be occupied if it doesn't have an operating septic,
Okay,
which is part of the problem that you can get in trouble with the camper.
where is that going?
Yeah,
Where's the
where's
waste
all the
going?
sewage going?
Yeah, right, okay. I was just
Right.
curious, yeah.
That could be the question that you could pose to the health
That might be
department,
another question to say, okay, where, yeah, okay.
because they're not allowed to run it on the ground.
And
And they're not allowed to be hooked into the septic system.
That's right, because it's gotta be its own system. Can't be tied into the septic system.
Well, the camper can't be hooked up like that at all.
Yeah.
So if someone's staying in a camper like that, you're gonna have your tank pumped out, or you're gonna
Okay.
drive your camper somewhere and get it dumped,
We're gonna have to dig into some of this stuff, like you said, to give him a list of like, these are the violations. Yeah.
that are actual violations. And then definitely to the T, at some point, if you send enough letters, if once you define those, what's being broken, you can send it the regular one, but then you're gonna have to do the registered one and everything.
Yeah.
Make sure you do all the steps right in the right order.
Okay.
All right.
So
Anything- oh, sorry,
the
go ahead.
commission meeting would be next Monday. I know trustee Griffith said that the consultant we're working with hasn't gotten back to her yet.
So I asked him if because he's putting all of what we're doing on the layered zoning into words, into a document. And I don't think he's completed that yet. So I asked him if he was gonna be completed in time to hold for our meeting next Monday. And if he's not, I don't know that we need to hold that meeting, because we're waiting on him right now.
Okay.
So, Brian, how much, if we wanted to cancel it, how much time do you need?
I mean, you like to give as much time as possible, but, I mean, when you know you're gonna cancel,
Well, at this point, we could go ahead and just choose to cancel it. And whenever he gets it to me, the documents, we'll do it at our next meeting then.
to your next Monday's meeting is what you're talking about.
Yeah, the commission, what was the date, Mary? The
That's
16th?
16.
Yeah, the
And
16th.
and Mary, all I would ask if you trustees and choose to do that, just shoot the email to me so that I can have that document and I'll word it up.
Okay.
When we do receive it, you mean?
Yeah.
Do we need to make a
Well,
motion?
we're only getting a rough draft of it. We'll have to tweak it. You just want the final draft.
I want the cancellation notice emailed to me. And then if you do get something, you can get that to me. I'll just put it in there for on the website if you want it there.
It's not ready to go to
Okay.
there yet.
All right.
So you send him and then notify the commission, and we'll cancel Monday's meeting.
Does that need to be a motion?
No, the
No.
commission, no.
No, okay. All right.
And then the Board of Zoning Appeals side, right around now is when we do the annual landfill renewal.
Oh, yeah.
I reached out to them. They're ready to go for next month. So that'd be the 6th of June.
Can you,
That's
before
a-
we set that with them, can you check with your BZA members to make sure you'll have a quorum there?
I did, they, all 4 of them said they should be able to make it.
Okay,
Make sure I get that with plenty of notice.
Mhm.
More the merrier.
I plan on getting that to you probably tomorrow.
There you go.
It should be free.
All right, Mary, anything else?
That's it for nuisances.
All right. Looks like we need approval needed for a new printer and set up through Phil
A
Schwab.
little history on that. I know Mary's been working through it. I had Philip look at that printer in there in her office, a color printer that she uses when she comes up and does stuff. And that printer is $179. And Philip said that he can get a hold of that. And I asked him, we can work up a price to come in, set it up for Mary, make sure it's all set up. They can fax, do the things it needs to do that she can get it up and using.
Got
Because he said, Brian, that printer is over 6 years old. That was bought back when
Got
Dorothy was there, and it's seen its life expectancy.
it. Right.
So
Do we don't know, do we need a bit of a number on that or?
Yeah, he said 250 because he gave me the printer price was 179.
Okay.
So $80 he said, so I said 250, he goes, yeah, look off of that.
Okay. Trustee Varian moves to pay $250 to Philip Schwab for the purchase of a new printer and the setup.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
Roll call, Barron
Yes.
and Griffith.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Let's go to no old business. Let's go down to new business. Consumers Internet Banking Agreement.
A few weeks ago, I said that we had some charges that the internet side for ACHs and stuff had changed at consumers.
Yeah.
The one went from 20 to 25, one went from 15 to 20. Their regular fee, everything else that we deal with stayed the same. What they did is they had an agreement that I usually would sign this, but there's nothing about, it doesn't have anything to do with our year-to-year, 5-year contracts or anything. This is just that it's all about the internet access that I do with them. It's a pretty long document, but it has a place on there. It's like $35,000 transfers. It only allows me to go up to 35,000, give an example.
Right.
And all this stuff, just, I would ask that I would have a official approval that I can sign this document. She made it out with my name on it because I'm the one that deals with it, the internet.
Got it. So we need to make a motion to allow you to sign the document.
That document right there.
There you go.
Griffith will make a motion that we approve the Consumers National Bank Commercial Internet Banking Agreement and allow our fiscal officer, Brian Lowry, to sign the document and correspond with the bank.
Trustee Varian seconds.
Roll call, Griffith,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
thank you.
That is a lot of verbiage for some internet banking. A lot there. All righty. Correspondence, got your grassroots clippings there and Stark Soil and Water Spring 2022 newsletter. Anything else that we need to cover before we adjourn? All right, seeing none, we need a motion for adjournment.
Griffith motions to adjourn. Pay bills.
Trustee Varian seconds.
Sorry.
We're all done. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bear with me till we get everything shut off.
She's always been very nice to me. I love Pat. She's always been very, very
She's very intelligent.
Yeah, she is. She is. I'll call her tomorrow.